So far, our analyst has been the only person working on modeling the BPM process. He's been modeling it in BPM Composer. You would have noticed that as he's modeling the process, he's saving it. When you're working in BPM Studio, when you save your work, it gets saved to the file system. When you're working in Composer, it gets saved into the SOA infra database. The analyst is now ready to collaborate with the developer who can add the implementation details. To do this, he has to take a different action in Composer than the save. He has to publish his changes. The publish action moves the BPM code from the SOA infra database into a repository called the Process Asset Manager, or PAM. The PAM is basically a subversion repository that comes bundled with the product. One more thing that the analyst would typically do when he hands it off is to release the lock when publishing. So what is a lock? A lock is there so that only one user can publish changes to the PAM at a time. This does not stop the team from working on the project concurrently. You could publish the changes without releasing the lock. The analyst could continue working in Composer, and a developer can pull it down into Studio and start adding the implementation. But the developer cannot commit changes back into PAM when it is locked. When the project is unlocked, the developer will update his local code with the latest changes from PAM, resolve merge conflicts if any, and then save the code back into PAM. If you want to work on the project in Composer again, you can of course reacquire the lock and start editing it. Let's look at the developer side of things now. Developers can either add the implementation details in BPM Studio or Composer. If using Composer, they would get the model from PAM, work on it, and publish or commit it back to PAM. If using Studio, they can update the code from PAM, work on it, and then save it back to PAM. Now, when would you use Composer versus Studio to add the implementation details? Composer enables you to create, test, and deploy a fully functioning BPM application. However, there are some advanced features that can only be performed using BPM Studio. They include configuring advanced human task parameters, creating and viewing ADF forms, creating external references, and creating exceptions. On the other hand, if you wanted to implement the user interface for human tasks using web forms instead of ADF, you can only do that in Composer. Most developers on real-life projects would do most of their implementations in Studio.